are broadcasting to you from our North Catholic studios in Cranberry Township for episode 13 of our podcast on North Catholic Athletics. My name is Alex Brown.
And I'm Ryan Berry.
And together we are your hosts for this podcast. And Ryan, we're now into championship Friday and Saturday.
Yes, we are. 2 games at the Pete. The boys play Friday against Lincoln Park for the third time they've played them all year, and the girls face off against Blackhawk, who was the number 1 seed in the girls bracket. And many thought North Catholic should have gone that one, but it's a 1v2. It's going to be a great matchup, but both games should be really great atmospheres at the Pete. The boys playing at 9 p.m., the girls playing at 3 p.m. on Saturday. The boys playing Friday, but they're going to be some fun games. Let's get talking about the girls' game.
Well, the girls so far in the playoffs, Ryan, they played Beaver area in their first game in the quarterfinals. They won that convincingly. You were there for that one, 62-22. What was how did it get to be that lopsided?
Well, they just came out so strong. I believe they were up 13-2. I think it was 12-3. And there was a timeout call by the Beaver coach, and they were trying to settle down. I'm like, okay, Beaver might come out of here with a plan. They weren't scoring at all. They come out of the timeout and are forced to take another timeout because the score is 21-3. So they scored no points at that span. And I think I don't remember the exact score at halftime, but North Catholic was dominating. And after that 12-3 burst, in Beaver is such a defensive-minded team that doesn't score a whole lot. When a defensive-minded team like that goes down, it's tough because you have to change your identity. Your identity is playing close 1-2 possession games that you can easily make a few shots and get back in. Well, when you're a defensive-minded team that doesn't score a whole lot, you have to play good defense still, but you now have to score a lot, and that's not your identity. Your identity is trying to drag teams to the mud, and once you get down by a lot, and it was 21-3, as I mentioned there, I mean, it just demoralizes you. And look at the rest of the game. Beaver played that way. North Catholic came out. I thought they'd be a little bit rusty. They weren't rusty at all. Daisha Lewandowski had, I think, what her best game was since she's been back. She made a 3, which is always great to see when you're coming off an injury. And she was just drawing so many fouls. And it seemed like a whole team effort. Everybody was scoring. You win by 40 points in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. That's pretty good against a 7 seed too.
That shows the dominance of North this entire year. And Beaver, as you said, they're a defensive-minded team. They're giving up, I think it was 32 points per game, 31.5 on average. And North Catholic doubles that, puts up 62 on Beaver area to get them going to the semifinals, which was against Highlands just the other day on Tuesday the 28th. And that was a game against Highlands in which North Catholic didn't have a good start. They were down 9-8 at the end of the first quarter. They only went up by 4 at halftime, 22-18. But then they had an explosive second half. They scored 41 points in the second half. And as you said, Ryan, Daisha, it's Anna, it's every single person that touches that court is going out there and they're contributing in every minute they play. And that's something that you see in championship level teams.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you don't play your best. As you mentioned, only 9 points in the first quarter to still go out and score 63. I mean, and I think the halftime score was somewhere in the 20s, so they doubled their halftime score in the second half. I mean, that's really impressive, and it just speaks. I mean, they play good defense as well, only allowing 45, which I think is above their average maybe of allowed per game, or maybe slightly around it. And they still managed to win by 18. They've just been so dominant all year. And it's going to be a great matchup because these two teams haven't faced each other. There's a couple games, like couple teams that both teams have played. I think there's one team that Blackhawk lost to that North beat, and I think there's a team that Blackhawk beat the North lost to, or maybe teams that both teams lost to. So those are games that, I mean, you got to imagine these teams have been watching film on each other for a long time because they expected this matchup. They didn't think that there'd be any other teams in this championship game than these two. So they've been watching film on both, and it should be a really good matchup. I think it's going to be a low-scoring one.
And you mentioned those two teams that they have in common. In particular, one of those was Kennedy Catholic, and North Catholic beat Kennedy Catholic 50-28 earlier in the year, and Blackhawk lost to Kennedy Catholic 55-53. So it was close. And then they also had in common Erie Cathedral Prep, and that was a game in which North Catholic won against Erie Cathedral Prep, but Blackhawk lost to Erie Cathedral Prep 40-36. North Catholic beat Erie Cathedral Prep by the score of 59-57. So two teams that they had in common, two good teams, and North Catholic both beat them. Blackhawk lost to them. And that's something that maybe a little bit of a motivation. Like, we were ranked they put us at the 2 seed, the Whippeal did, and Blackhawks at the 1 seed. Why is that? So they're going to go out there and try to prove themselves this week on Saturday against Blackhawk. And here is Tori Drevna for more on that.
We are here with North Catholic girls basketball player Tori Drevna. Tori, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, Tori, first off, congrats on a great season thus far. It really has been.
Thank you.
And how big of a confidence boost was that win against Oakland before heading into the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a big boost for us. I mean, not a lot of people predicted us to win because, they were one in the Whippeal for all teams. They were Trib top 10, so not a lot of people picked us to win, but, we just played our best game, honestly, and came out with a 10-point win, so it's pretty good.
Tori, you've been on 2 Whippeal championship teams before. How does this team compare, and how do you feel like you guys match up with Blackhawk in the championship?
Yeah, so this year we have everybody back. Ava and Sarah came off of
Healthy,
an injury.
thank
Yes,
goodness.
I know. So they didn't get a chance to play in this game last year. So this is kind of, their redemption game. They're coming back. They get to actually play this time. And this team is really special. We're all really close with each other, and we get along really well, and we play well together on the court. So I think we definitely have a good chance, a good shot against Blackhawk. They're a great team, but so are we. So.
Not that you need any bulletin board material per se, but did you being put as the 2nd seed and Blackhawk as the 1st seed, is that in your minds at all going into this game maybe?
Absolutely. It's total motivation for us. Like, we don't think that we should have been seeded 2nd, obviously.
Oh, we agree.
Yeah, but that's just how things go. They thought they were the better team, so that's a good motivation for us to just go out there and prove that, yeah, we are the better team.
This senior class of this year seems to have such a special bond because you guys have played together for so long. How awesome would it be to go with one more big win?
Oh, it would be great. I mean, for your senior season to win a Whippeal championship, that would be great. 2 Whippeal championships, 3, I should say, under my belt would be a really good ending to my senior season. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that game against Highlands just the other day, it was a slow start to that one. It was you're down 9-8 at the end of the first quarter and only up by 4 at halftime. What is something that you're going to be looking to do in this game against Blackhawk to reverse what happened in that first half against Highlands?
Yeah, so we're just looking to come out with just a stronger start against Beaver. We came out really strong, and we went up 21-3 in the first quarter. So we're definitely looking to come out with a strong start with Blackhawk because they're a pretty fast-paced team as well. So we don't want to come from behind in the second half. We definitely don't want that to happen. So getting off to a strong start is very important.
Looking back on your senior season, or in all your seasons here at North, do you have any favorite memories of your time here?
Oh, there's a lot of favorite memories, obviously. Last year's Whippeal Championship was super special to everybody. That was a great one, and obviously we had a couple DC trips that were super fun, but yeah.
A lot of people said the bus ride on those senior trips was
Yeah.
the best part. What goes on in those bus rides?
Lots of music is played, lots of conversations happen, so there's just a lot of things. You kind of get to... They put us with people. This year we just had all the seniors on the bus together, so that was really fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. We had a lot of fun, and yeah, it was just always a good time.
Just being around your friends,
Yeah,
right?
it's great. It's great.
That's fantastic. And Tori, we really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
Best of luck this Saturday.
Thanks, guys.
And you heard from Tori Drevna previewing this weekend's game and talking about this season as a whole, as they've had an amazing season, again, undefeated in conference, and now go up against 1-seeded Blackhawk. And Alex, let's now transition to the boys. They have a big matchup, the championship game on Saturday in Lincoln Park. This team, they expected to be here, but being the 6th seed in the bracket, they weren't the favorite in the past couple of years. Not last year, but they were always thought of to be the top dog. But this year, they're a little bit underdog, and I think they took on that underdog mentality, and they upset Uniontown, the 3 seed, handily by 15. And then they upset Laurel Highlands by 15 as well. 2
Dominant,
really good teams. Rodney Gallagher and DeShields for Laurel Highlands are just really talented players. North Catholic came in and defended them each very well. I think Rodney had 24 points, but DeShields, they put him in foul trouble right away, and he didn't have that big of an impact. But they were able to explode offensively and then tighten down defensively. And I think it's going to be that has to be the key against Lincoln Park. But looking at this season, looking at their games through the playoffs, what do you think this game will look like? They played Lincoln Park twice.
They've played Lincoln Park twice, and it's that helps and that hurts at the same time because it's in your head a little bit that Lincoln Park has won a lot of the previous matchups that they've faced. And I believe this is the third time that they've matched up in the Whitfield Championship in the last 4 years, Ryan. So these two teams know each other really, really well. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this matchup goes, especially at the Pete, which is the first time it's been at the Pete in 4 years for North Catholic to get back. And it's going to be a really exciting matchup. And I think that game against Uniontown that North Catholic had is a perfect example of how and against Laurel Highlands too, is a perfect example of the script that you need to beat Lincoln Park. So Uniontown, they give up an average of 47 points per game. North Catholic put 73 on them. And Uniontown is also scoring about 73 points per game. North Catholic limited them to 58. And you do that by eliminating second chance opportunities, and that means good rebounding. And you also do that by having a great transition game and staying disciplined. So I think those are exactly the things they need to do against Lincoln Park in order to beat them. But make no mistake about it, they're going to have a good day to beat Lincoln Park shooting. So the shooting has to be there for them to beat Lincoln Park. Because Lincoln Park, even though they didn't have a good first quarter shooting against Highlands, I think they were 1 for 10 from the field, I heard. That's not good. They don't do that often. So if something like that happens, they go on a dry spell, you got to take advantage of it in these games. You got to have some bursts.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's kind of I guess, I don't know if it was the game plan, but in both the Uniontown and the Laurel Highlands game, they were able to frustrate the teams by drawing a lot of fouls early in the game as well and getting some top players in foul trouble. And, Lincoln Park, their entire lineup could be considered top players. And so any of them that you get in foul trouble and get them off the court is one step closer to victory. And I think that the key is just frustrating Lincoln Park, making them commit fouls, and obviously rebounding is pretty much the biggest reason why they've lost both games to Lincoln Park. They lost 87-71, and they lost 71-55, I believe.
I think it was the same margin. Both times.
They have lost them twice, but
16.
That doesn't mean you tell me all the time it's tough to be a good team 3 times. It's your favorite phrase. You say it all the time, so hopefully that comes true for the Trojans.
But if you're Lincoln Park looking at this game, hey, we beat them twice. We beat them twice this year. Let's make it a third time. We know what to do to beat North, and I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how that first quarter goes. If North Catholic has a great start, like they did against Central Catholic, I think they have a great shot. And we see how far Central Catholic has gone in their playoff bracket this year. North Catholic has beaten some good teams, some really good teams. Seneca Valley even has gone far in the playoffs, and North Catholic beat them earlier in the year. So it's going to be really pivotal in that first 8 minutes to see how that game's going to go. And it's going to be a heck of a test for both teams. And North Catholic, it's going to be all about the ball handling too, Ryan. As we've seen this year, North Catholic has 5 guys out there at all times that can handle the ball well. And they're going to have to use that against Lincoln Park.
Yeah, but if they will have to, it's going to be a fun one. For more on that, let's go to Nick Larson from the boys basketball team.
We are North Catholic boys varsity basketball player Nick Larson. Nick, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Nick, to start off, 2 upset wins in a row in the quarterfinals, now in the semifinals. What was the key in those games, pulling off those upsets, especially going in as the underdog?
I just think playing together and just trusting in one another. We knew that we were going to be the underdogs coming in, but we just had that mentality that, we were going to basically shock the world and play really good. So,
has playing as tough of a schedule as you have played this year, has that made you more battle-tested and maybe more prepared than other teams in the playoffs?
Yeah, I would say so. We played probably some of the top teams in the state.
Yeah.
On our trip to Philly, and then a team from New York, and that really, I think, prepared us well for not only section play, but definitely in the playoffs and beyond.
Are there any teams that have you faced like that really compare to Lincoln Park style of play that you could really guess?
I would say maybe Archbishop Wood. Just they have similar guards who are very talented and skilled, like Lincoln Park.
And Archbishop Wood, that was a close game you guys played against them too.
It was.
And are always at the top of is that 5A? They're 5A
They're
or 6A?
6A.
6A over there in Philly. And against Laurel Highlands, though, Nick, you gave the team a big boost, by knocking down 4 triples for a total of 12 points. But your defense was also key in that one as well. Was there anything that you were able to do to get open from beyond the arc and knock down those threes though over the course of that game?
I mean, just mainly credit to my teammates for finding me. I was kind of open in the corner, and then I rotated to the top on the 1-3, and they found me at the right place at the right time. So I was just glad I was able to knock those shots down for us.
So you faced Lincoln Park twice this year. You've lost twice, but as Alex always tells me, it's tough to beat a good team 3 times. So going to this one, looking back at those games, what were some of the problems that you guys faced against them, and do you think you guys have fixed those going into the championship?
Yeah, definitely. I think rebounding is going to be key for us. I mean, they're tall, but they're not that big, so we kind of match up well with them. But I think we need to do a better job rebounding both offensively and defensively, and limit their second opportunities that they have.
Do you feel like, as a better key to success against Lincoln Park, is it more crucial to have great rebounding or to have great shooting?
I would probably say a little bit of both, but if I had to pick, probably great shooting. I mean, can maybe get away with the rebounding, but I mean, if we shoot great, especially from 3, then I think that'll be key for us.
Well, Nick, thanks for this interview. It should be a great game tomorrow night. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You just heard from Nick Larson from the boys basketball team as we wish them the best of luck. And both the boys and the girls games, we'll have a broadcast for the North Catholic Sports Network. It'll be an audio-only broadcast, as the Trib has rights to the video. But they're kind enough to let us do an audio broadcast. So we'll have that on the North Catholic Sports Network at 9 o'clock on Friday and at Saturday at 3. And we look forward to those games. And what else we got, right?
Well, swimming and diving, they're going to the Whitfield Championships today and tomorrow. Today, March 2nd, and tomorrow, March 3rd. But one diving note, or I don't even know, is diving go to the Whitfield Championships tomorrow as well?
It was the individuals last week.
Yeah, now it's a team.
Yes.
But Maggie Foley won her 4th gold medal for diving, and she's just been incredible. And she's going to the University of Pittsburgh to dive for them in the future. So big things ahead for her, and another great accomplishment here at North Catholic.
She's fantastic, and she's had a phenomenal career. And we wish her all the best in their continued competitions and in her future to come. And a note here on hockey, North Catholic hockey team fell to Shaler in the first round of the playoffs by the score 3-2 the other night, which will end their season. But it's been a tremendous ride through the regular season for them, and that loss obviously is not indicative of any player, any person that is affiliated with that team. And it's just it's a disappointing way to end the season. You look to your seniors, Chase Cotterero, Ro Alessandro, and Brock Varley, all who had career years and put the team on their back at times throughout the season to get them into the playoffs and get that 3 seed, which they had. And Shaler just came in, played better first 2 periods, and that was the tail of the tape in that one. But it's been a tremendous season. And we wish those seniors the best in the future to come. And we look forward to next season of North Catholic hockey. Hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. Hopefully it flies by till that point, till we get to start of October. And that's a long ways away, but I can't wait for it. And with that, that's about all we have for today's podcast.
Yes, it is. I felt this was a really good one, Alex. We've done a lot lately, but we've had to. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and with the boys in the championship, swimming, diving, moving forward, there's a lot to talk about. And hopefully it keeps going as these teams hopefully win the championships and make a run in states as well. We'll have more podcasts. Remember, the following call to broadcast, Alex Brown and Alex Jackson will be broadcasting both the championship games at the Pete. I unfortunately cannot make it to either one.
Tell them why.
But
you got mid-ams. So it's like you're doing nothing.
Yeah, I guess, but they'll do a great job. I'm looking forward to being able to watch or listen to as much as they can. But they'll be down in Bill Hillgrove and Curtis Aiken seat, and should be some fun broadcasts. And so make sure to listen to that if you can. And remember, we are your one-stop podcast for everything North Catholic athletics.